Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an honor and a privilege to have you guys joining me here today, as it is every day as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that kind of stuff. And, of course, before we do anything else, I should have had a graphic and some dramatic music. It's time for Movie Pass Stock Watch. Yes, Movie Pass Stock Watch. After doing their 250 to 1 reverse stock split that brought their stock up to $21 last week, then it dropped to $10, then it dropped to $2, then it dropped to 80 cents, then it dropped to 50 cents, and yesterday was at 30 cents. Today, as of right now, Movie Pass's stock is at 15 cents. That's right, in 1 week going from the reverse stock split of $21 a share to 15 cents a share. So, buy Movie Pass, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so with the days, with the daily little Movie Pass watch now out of the way, let's talk about a bunch of stuff. We had a whole ton of stuff to talk about. Looks like Avengers 4 could be moving release dates should Shazam get out of its way. Jason Statham is talking about all the big differences between Fast and Furious and Hobbs and Shaw. We've got Transformers, the animated movie. Looks like it's getting a theatrical re-release. But before we get to any of that other kind of stuff, let's go right off the top and talk about this Jason Statham thing. Now, we all know that there is a Fast and Furious spin-off film coming called Hobbs and Shaw that will focus on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character and Jason Statham's character. Now, somebody was asking him, what's going to be the difference? What's going to make this Hobbs and Shaw movie unique compared to, say, all the other Fast and the Furious films? What's going to be the big difference? And it sounds like believability may be the big difference. Here's what Jason Statham had to say about the differences between Hobbs and Shaw and Fast and the Furious. Statham said this: I think David Leitch, he's one of the John Wick directors who, of course, also directed Atomic Blonde, and now he's directing Hobbs and Shaw. I think David Leitch's taste is a bit more grounded and a little darker. If you see Atomic Blonde, and it's just superb, his taste is definitely in a world that is sort of how you describe it. I think he's looking to do something that doesn't look exactly like a Fast movie. Although it's the Fast characters, he's trying to do his own thing with it and really give it a sense of credibility. I think Dave is going to get this one gritty and real and fucking hardcore. Now, if any of you guys saw Atomic Blonde, and obviously John Wick, you know what this director can do with action. He can do incredibly insane stuff with great action. He can do that. So all that kind of stuff. But here's the part of Jason Statham's comments that really stand out to me. They're talking about being real, more grounded. What that says to me, and if you watch Atomic Blonde, and I do encourage you to watch Atomic Blonde, I like that movie. But if you watch Atomic Blonde, what Statham is describing they're bringing to Hobbs and Shaw sounds a lot like what they had in Atomic Blonde. As far as the action and all that kind of stuff goes, it felt gritty. It felt believable. You didn't have the action hero jumping 50 feet into the air onto a platform above them. You didn't have somebody doing a quadruple spin back kick and all that kind of stuff. Atomic Blonde, while it was magnificent to watch, everything that they did on screen felt like, yes, you can do that. In Fast and the Furious, they bend the rules of reality a little bit, right? And that's fine, because that's one of the hallmarks of Fast and Furious now. But like, for instance, that one infamous shot about the car jumping 5 football fields from one building to the next is something that just wouldn't happen. And it sounds like the way Jason Statham is describing it, that Hobbs and Shaw is going to move away from that sort of suspend your disbelief kind of action to more gritty, raw, and maybe more grounded action like what we get in John Wick and like what we get in Atomic Blonde. When you get an action star like Dwayne Johnson, and a dude who's so good with action and so good at his on-screen martial arts and everything as Jason Statham, that could be very special. That could be very special. So look, I've been looking forward to this Hobbs and Shaw movie all along anyway, but hearing Jason Statham saying they're going to take that level of groundedness that doesn't seem to be in the Fast and Furious movies, and that's fine. That's fine for Fast and Furious. But bringing it more grounded and a little bit more real and gritty and darker for something like Hobbs and Shaw, I think that's great. To me, this is good news, and I'm looking forward to it. All right. Also off the top, this just came out this morning. It's funny because on yesterday's show, somebody brought up Jessica Chastain and how Jessica is now one of his favorite actresses. Well, a new piece of news dropped today about Jessica Chastain. Jessica Chastain is apparently now signed on to both produce and star in a brand new action movie called Eve that she's going to be doing with Voltage. Now, really, next to nothing is known about this film right now. Like, really, there's almost no information being given about what this Eve is going to be, other than it's going to be an action film with Jessica Chastain. But I'll tell you what, for me, as a film fan, just having Jessica Chastain there makes it worth being interested in. Just having Jessica Chastain there makes it worth being excited about. I mean, oh my God, Jessica Chastain almost made that Huntsman Winter's War movie watchable simply by her being in it. Now, Jessica Chastain right now has 2 Academy Award nominations. She was nominated for The Help, which is like, if you haven't seen The Help, you're robbing yourself. Watch The Help. It's so ridiculously good. It's just undescribable. But anyway, she got an Academy Award nomination for The Help, and she also got an Academy Award nomination for Zero Dark 30. She should have gotten an Academy Award nomination, maybe not one, but she should have gotten an Academy Award nomination last year for Molly's Game, because she was just amazing in Molly's Game. Now, Jessica Chastain is a busy girl, because she's got a number of high-profile projects coming out. Right? Number one, she's the new grown-up Beverly in It 2, right? So she's got that coming. She's got X-Men Dark Phoenix that she has coming out. And yes, that movie is coming out in theaters. She's got George and Tammy. She's got The Division. She's got Seducing Ingrid Bergman. And she's got Painkiller Jane. All of these coming out between now and 2021. Now, add on top of that, this movie, Eve, and you're looking at a girl who's just as busy as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson these days. I mean, she is keeping herself busy. And it seems like she's keeping herself busy while always delivering quality. You know, normally you see actors like this who crank out this much material. It's going to be hit and miss. But Jessica Chastain just seems to crank out quality. So, hey, I'm excited about it. All right, let's move on to the final little bit of off-the-top news. A bunch of news sites are now reporting this morning, I saw this come in on Twitter just before I started here, that it looks like Sony may be a lot more confident in this Venom movie than even we thought. Because according to reports now, Sony has gone ahead and hired screenwriter Richard Renk to start developing the screenplay for a Kraven the Hunter movie. Now, you may not recognize the name of Richard Renk, but he has written such films as The Magnificent Seven, The Equalizer 2, The Mechanic, which I thought was pretty good, 16 Blocks, which I didn't think was all that bad. He's also written the upcoming movie The Last Mission and the upcoming movie Anna, and apparently Sony has now brought him on to write a screenplay for Kraven the Hunter. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with who and what Kraven the Hunter is, he's exactly that. Sergey is his real name. Sergey is a big game hunter. And his ultimate trophy has always been Spider-Man. So he's been a Spider-Man adversary for a long time. One of the best Spider-Man adversaries at any rate. So he's just insanely good. So they're looking at bringing a standalone feature film with him over. Now, obviously, in this Sonyverse, there is no Spider-Man. So what's the big trophy for Kraven the Hunter to hunt? Oh, I don't know. There's just this little guy called Venom. I just think if you're like one of the world's great hunters and you pride yourself on hunting only the biggest game and the most dangerous game, and there's this creature Venom out there, I think that would whet your appetite. I am already starting to see in my head, and I've got to admit, I'm salivating a little bit thinking about it. A Kraven the Hunter hunting Venom. And that movie, Kraven versus Venom. I'm getting a geek boner about it, just thinking about it. Now, who knows? Maybe Venom comes out in October and it sucks and we won't be excited about it anymore. But let's assume for just a moment that Venom's going to be as good as the trailer is. The notion of a Kraven the Hunter hunting Venom would be awesome. But okay, let's bring this down to reality for now, though. As of right now, this is not a green light. This doesn't mean that a Kraven the Hunter is 100% official. It's going to happen. No. They brought on a screenwriter to develop a script. Lots and lots and lots of projects get to that point and never get to the big screen. This could be just the next one of those. All right, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I will admit, the notion of a Kraven the Hunter movie is pretty exciting to me. On top of that, I think while there's nothing there, although I loved the first Equalizer that Richard wrote, I think that was great. There's not a lot on Richard's resume that jumps out that makes you go, oh my God, this is guaranteed to be a good movie. No, but he's written some solid screenplays. And I think there's a lot there to be enthusiastic about and at least have some optimism for. I think if nothing else, we can see the upside. Look, a lot of this will depend on how Venom does. If Venom comes out and it's terrible and it tanks and all that kind of stuff, you're going to stop hearing about a Kraven the Hunter or a Silver and Black or in any other kind of Sonyverse Spider-Man universe. That's going to go away pretty quick. But if it works, it opens up a world of opportunities, and Kraven the Hunter could be just the next one on that block. All right. With that stuff all out of the way, let's get on to the main topics. How do we pick our main topics around here? Well, it's simple. You guys determine the main topics. How do you do that? It's simple. If you've got a question or a topic you want to be a main topic here on the John Campea Show, just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com and put the word topic in the subject line. Once again, email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com and put the word topic in the subject line. That way I know you're sending it in for the John Campea Show. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less, or else I can't even fit it on the screen. All right, with that out of the way, let's jump into the first official main topic today. And the first main topic today comes to us from Kate Reed, who writes, I recently saw Mission Impossible Fallout and loved it. Do you see it doing any difference in Henry Cavill's career? It was new seeing him play that type of a role, but if I'm correct, I don't think previous co-stars of past Mission Impossible films got a ton of work for being in that franchise. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, what do you think? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Kate. And look, it can certainly be said that it's never a bad thing to appear in a popular and beloved. It is a bad thing to appear in a successful but widely hated movie. That might be bad for your career. But basically speaking, there's no real downside to being one of the stars of a very successful and very beloved film. There's not really a downside to that. However, does that automatically mean if you're a supporting character, and that's what Henry Cavill is in this movie, he's playing a supporting character. Does that automatically mean that if you're playing a supporting character in a big, popular, successful movie, that automatically means good things for your career? Well, Kate, you pointed out yourself in your email. You're absolutely right. We could start listing off a big laundry list of people who have appeared in movies. Look, Jeremy Renner's career, he was already successful. Did it take off even more because he was in the Mission Impossible franchise? No, not really. Has Simon Pegg's career really skyrocketed because of being in Mission Impossible? No, not really. And honestly, I really don't see any reason to believe that Henry Cavill's career is going to take a big step up because of the Mission Impossible franchise. What Mission Impossible has really done, it's really done more for Tom Cruise than anybody else, and rightly so. It's his franchise. He's the main lead guy in it, and he's the one doing all these ridiculous stunts in these movies at the same time. On top of that, as big of a fan as I am of Henry Cavill, and you guys know how much I love Henry Cavill, I honestly didn't think his performance in Mission Impossible Fallout was like the highlight of his resume. I thought he was solid in it. I thought he was perfectly fine. No problems with his performance in it. But at the same time, it's not like some other supporting performances we've seen from actors in different movies where they like practically steal the movie. I thought Henry Cavill did perfectly fine. He did his job. He delivered. He made his character, investable, and it works. But was it the type of performance that you sit back and go, oh my gosh, did you see Henry Cavill in that? That's a game changer. I don't think it was one of those for him. And even if it was, I'm not sure that being in a Mission Impossible film will do that because, as you pointed out, Kate, there's just no track record for that. So I'm of the opinion right now that, no, I really don't think it's going to do all that much for Henry Cavill's career. At the same time, I certainly don't think it's going to hurt his career either. Again, it's never a bad thing to appear in a popular and successful movie that is beloved. And Mission Impossible Fallout checks all those boxes, so it's not a bad thing. We'll just have to see where it goes. What's going to be really interesting now is to see if he gets the James Bond role. That's going to be the interesting thing, because Daniel Craig, we know, is going to be hanging it up here pretty soon. And we know that Henry Cavill was the runner-up to Daniel Craig to becoming James Bond back when Daniel Craig became Bond in Casino Royale. it was almost Henry Cavill's role. He's always wanted it since then. His name has only gotten more high profile since. Let's keep an eye on that and see where that goes. All right, with that down, let's move on to the second topic. And the second topic today comes to us from the real DBZ lover, who writes, "Hey John, read today that the 1986 Transformers animated movie is being brought back to play in theaters. Apparently, it's for one night on Thursday, September 27th at 7 p.m. by Fathom Events. To me, this is the definitive Transformers movie, and I can't tell you how excited I am. What did you think of the animated movie, and will you go check out the re-release in theaters in September?" I'll tell you what, DBZ lover, or the real DBZ, whatever it was. I'm torn about whether I'll go back. I am tempted to go back and watch it. What I think it was September. I'm tempted to go and watch it in September, just because I so fondly remember the animated, not the animated movie, but the animated Transformers. I just have such a soft spot in my heart for it. I love that. My favorite cartoon as a kid. That's my all-time favorite cartoon, was the Transformers. However, for those of you who've watched me for any period of time, you know that I have a real hard time with that Transformers motion picture. Because, to me, that entire movie was just Hasbro giving the old double effers to the fans. That's what it was. Hey kids, thank you so much for supporting Hasbro and our Transformers line and making us relevant as a company. You've been faithfully supporting us by buying the toys and watching the cartoons for years. Oh my gosh, we're so grateful to you. And you know what we're going to do to pay you back? Kill everybody! We're going to kill them all. Not just one or two or three or four or five or six or seven or eight or nine or 10 of your favorites. No. We're going to kill them all. And we're going to kill them all in the first 5 minutes of the movie. We're not even going to give your favorite characters, other than Optimus Prime, we're not going to give any of your favorite characters even a moment to shine. As a matter of fact, most of your characters aren't even going to get a single line in the movie. They're only going to be on screen for about 5 seconds, just enough time for you to watch a Decepticon shoot them and kill them, and watch some of your favorite Decepticons die as well. And then, why are we doing that? Because we're sweeping away everything to bring in all the new toys. Look everybody, this is Cup. Who the fuck is Cup? It's Cup. Cup's great. You're going to love him. Look, everybody, it's Blur. Don't you love Blur? He sounds like an idiot. Oh, don't worry about it. You love him. And look, everybody, it's Rodimus Prime. Judd Nelson. No. It's Rodimus Prime. He's your new Optimus Prime replacement. Are you fucking kidding me? No, everybody, he's going to be great. If you don't like him, we got Optimus Prime Jr. and Ultra Magnus. It's just another truck. Yeah, it's Ultra Magnus. Isn't he awesome? I hate that movie. I hate that movie for what it did to all of us. It has one of the all-time greatest scenes ever with that fight between Optimus and Megatron. That is a great scene. One will stand, one will fall. I mean, that's a great scene. It is. It's a wonderful scene. I give it all props for that. I don't even mind that they killed Optimus Prime. Okay, fine. You want to kill the big hero? I get it. There's dramatic purpose to that. I get it. I'm fine with it. But they killed everybody in the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie. Not even giving a lot of the characters any lines. Just, oh, look, he's dead. He didn't even say anything. They just killed him. You know? And that has always pissed me off to no end. So while I might go and watch this thing in theaters just because I love the animated Transformers so much, I do have a major hate on for that animated movie. I have a major hate on, and the way that Hasbro just did this to the fans. Ooh, shove it up the old cornhole. You know, it just drove me nuts the way Hasbro kind of did that to everybody. Now, I should be careful about how I talk about Hasbro because they provide half of my household income. Thank you, Hasbro. But yeah, they really dicked us. They really did. Those of us who are Transformers fans, they just, and I've never forgiven them for it. I've never forgiven them for that one transgression. It's always bothered me. Anyway, okay, let's move on to the next topic. And the next topic comes to us from Justin McKenzie. And Justin McKenzie writes, it looks like another movie personality just got off social media. The Doctor Strange director, Scott Derrickson, has announced he's no longer going to be on Twitter. He never gave any sort of official reason, but I'm hearing people theorizing that it's either because of how toxic the fandom has become or because he doesn't want what happened to James Gunn to happen to him. He recently publicly stated support for James Gunn. Why do you think he jumped? And you're right. I mean, this is a growing thing. We are seeing more and more prominent movie celebrities. Not that Scott Derrickson is one of the prime names in all of Hollywood, but I mean, he's a good director, did a great job with Doctor Strange. We're seeing more and more prominent names in Hollywood removing themselves off social media for different reasons. So one, because they just can't, they don't want to have to deal with the toxicity and the garbage that is out there from a lot of segments of the fan population. Fine. But now, like with the whole James Gunn thing, I think a lot of directors are just going, did I ever write something stupid? Or could I potentially in the future write something stupid that would get me in trouble? You know what? Screw it. I'm just going to delete my Twitter. That is one thing to do. Look, I've always believed for a long time, I started this theory with professional athletes because professional athletes just kept getting themselves in trouble. And what a lot of professional athletes started doing, I believe a lot of Hollywood people should start doing, which is this. A lot of professional athletes, they set up a thing where instead of them having direct access to Twitter, they would write a tweet and that text that they wrote would go directly to either their manager or their publicist or somebody who managed their social life, their social online life. Once that person with a clean set of eyes had a chance to look at the text and make sure that the athlete wasn't saying anything that he can get himself in trouble for or something that could come back to bite him in the ass, then that PR person would go ahead and push that tweet to Twitter. And then it's up. So what the athletes started doing, what some athletes started doing, is putting a buffer between them and their actual social media platform. Just so somebody with a clear set of eyes can look at it first with a clear head. And if there's something that could get them in trouble, write back them saying, hey, Marcus, you really think you should have said this? I mean, I'll post it if you want me to post it. But, from a clean set eyes point of view, I'm just telling you, this could come across the wrong way, could blow back on you. Okay, fine. Don't write it, right? I've been saying for a long time, I believe people in the big public eye, movie directors, actors, producers, studio heads, whatever, I really do believe, and they've all got publicists anyway, just tell them, look, part of your job as my publicist is going to act as an in-between between me and my social media platforms. Every post I write is going to go to you first, and then you publish it. You publish it. Only after you look at it first to make sure I'm not getting myself in trouble. Right? I think that's what a lot of them should do. And honestly, I think what we're seeing here with Derrickson is kind of systematic or symptomatic, I should say. Symptomatic of that whole two worlds. One, the toxicity of fandom. He probably just doesn't want to have to deal with it anymore. But number two, it's probably very much has something to do, especially with his comments in support of James Gunn recently, probably has something to do with the James Gunn situation. Saying, you know what? I don't want to ever accidentally say the wrong thing and have everybody label me something because it's either something I said as a joke that I never thought anybody would take seriously, or I just worded it wrong and now everybody thinks I'm a monster of some sort. I don't want that to ever accidentally happen. And if I just don't tweet, then it can't happen. Now, Derrickson is keeping his Instagram account. That's a lot easier to keep yourself safe. I mean, you're really just posting pictures. I mean, really, it's very, very light stuff. You're not making political statements, for the most part anyway, on like Instagram or whatever. But I think it has to do, and asking, why do I think he did it? Did he did because of the toxicity? Did he do it because of the James Gunn situation? I'm guessing it's probably a little bit of both. But again, I really, really believe that these Hollywood named people really should start not having direct access to posting to their own Twitter. Either get off Twitter altogether or get an intermediary between you and actually posting it that gets eyes on it first. I think that's something that they should all do. All right, let's move on to topic number 4. And topic number 4 comes to us from Sean Carson, who writes, "Hey, John. While looking at IMAX's newly released 2019 schedule, I noticed that Avengers 4 is listed for an April 2019 release. Assuming they move the domestic release date from May 3rd and release it worldwide at the same time that they did for Infinity War, Do you think it will have any kind of impact on the release of Shazam, or will Warner Brothers / New Line stand their ground? All right, for those of you who have not heard about this, IMAX put out their release schedule, right? Now, we talked a little bit about IMAX's release schedule the other day because IMAX's release schedule debunked that whole rumor going around that X-Men Dark Phoenix wasn't going to get released in theaters, because it is. But the other notable thing is this, is although right now, I believe Avengers 4 is officially slated to open on May 3rd, let's not forget that Avengers Infinity War at the last minute changed their release date earlier. And now IMAX is saying in their report that Avengers 4 will indeed be opening towards the end of April, not in May. Which would be consistent with what Marvel did with Avengers Infinity War to line it up with all the international release dates, because Avengers 4 is opening internationally already near the end of April instead of May anyway. So this could be relevant. Does it mean for sure 100% that Marvel is moving their release date? No, but like when sites like IGN or whatever are talking about, hey, look, this actually may point to the fact that Avengers is going to be opening earlier than we expected. It could be opening in April. So let's take those pieces of evidence that we have right now. It's all circumstantial, but let's just take it for what it is right now. Avengers Infinity War moved up their release date early to line up with the international release dates. IMAX is saying that they're going to be releasing Avengers 4 a week early, at least a week early. We know that that would then line up with international release dates, much like Avengers Infinity War did. So you could be forgiven for believing right now that, yeah, it looks like Avengers is moving into April. It's moving off its May release date and into April. It's not official, may not happen at all, but there's sufficient reason there to suspect that. Okay, let's go with that for a moment. Let's say for a moment we are accepting that Avengers 4 is going to move into April. Well, there's another superhero movie also opening in April in the form of this guy right here, Shazam, with Thanos sneaking up behind him. I love what Ray did with that graphic. We've already got a superhero movie opening up, and that's Shazam. Could that be trouble for Shazam? Could that cause some difficulties for Shazam? And really, basically, should Shazam move? The question is, should Shazam move to get out of the way of Infinity War that seems to be creeping closer to Shazam's release date? My thought on this is no, Shazam's fine. My thought on this is no, Shazam is fine. And here's why. Because even if they do move the release date to say, I don't know, April 26th, right? That's still 3 full weeks away from when Shazam is opening on April 5th. 3 full weeks. Even if Avengers 4 does indeed move into April, it is most likely going to be on that April 26th, April 27th date. Therefore, still being 3 full weeks away from Shazam opening. Look, that is plenty of time for Shazam. Shazam will have made like 90% of its money by the time Avengers ever hits theaters. So yeah, look, I'm going to say this, my opinion, and I could be wrong, I could be dead wrong about this. I want to know what you guys have to say, but my opinion is simply this, is that even if Avengers 4 is indeed moving into April, there's plenty of time for Shazam still having the playground to itself as far as superhero movies goes. At least until the juggernaut known as Avengers 4 comes along. 3 full weeks. I would say even if it was 2 weeks, that would be enough time. You know, 1 week separating it? Nah, then you're... But John, you said you think that Aquaman should move. Why don't you think Shazam could move? Because Aquaman is literally opening in a 7-day window with 7 other major films, including a Spider-Man animated film, including a Bumblebee film, including Alita Battle Angel, including Mary Poppins, and on and on and on. That's different. We're talking about a Shazam movie that, yeah, there are going to be other movies, but nothing super significant, at least not in the vein of an Avengers 4, and that Avengers 4 movie is going to be 3 weeks away. So I get the idea that it's best to be as far away from Avengers, especially if you're a comic book movie, it would be best to be as far away from Avengers 4 as possible. I get that, yes. But I think I think 3 weeks is plenty of time. But that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to the question of the day. And the question of the day today is simply that. Do you think, assuming for a moment that Avengers 4 will move into April, the same month that Shazam is, do you think Shazam should move further away from Avengers 4 if Avengers moves into that April date? Look in the description of this video, and at the very bottom of the description, you will see a link that you click on, and there's the poll, and you answer the poll there. I know I just said it, but I'm going to go over to the poll right now, see if any of you guys started answering. I'm going to guess probably about 50 of you have already answered, but we're going to see here. How many of you guys have already answered? Right now, we already have 71 people have answered. Right now, 63.3% of you are saying yes, it should move further away. And 36.6% of you are saying no, it's fine where it is. So as of right now, it's only 71 votes. We're going to get thousands of votes. But as of right now, yes, it needs to move seems to be in the lead. So surprise, surprise, you guys disagree with me. What's new? So right now, you guys are saying you think it needs to move. 36.6% of you are saying no, it's fine where it is. Once again, jump into the description of this video. At the very bottom, you'll find the link to the question of the day. Click on that, register your vote, let your voice be heard, and we will sum up the results of today's question of the day on tomorrow's John Campea show. All right, with that down, let's move on to the final email of the day. And the final email today comes to us from Froygon Jin, who writes, Episode 8 set new parameters on Jedi powers by having Yoda summon lightning to burn a tree and having him hit Luke over the head with his cane as a Force ghost. In Episode 9, I believe Rey will battle the Knights of Ren before fighting Kylo in solo combat as her rite of passage to Jedi knighthood. Do you think Luke will be able to assist Rey against the Knights of Ren as a Force ghost? Maybe even pick up a lightsaber? All right, so this kind of goes back to an ongoing theory I have. I still hold on. 95% sure Luke is just dead. I believe there's a slim, ever so unlikely 5% chance, though, that maybe Luke is actually still alive. That he didn't, die at the end of episode 8, blah, blah, but whatever. Most likely he's dead for sure. But I still think there's a 5% chance he's alive. But let's say he's not. Let's go with that much bigger probability that he's dead, 95%. He comes back as a Force ghost. We know Mark Hamill is appearing in the movie, episode 9. So he's either coming back as a Force ghost or he's alive. It's one of the two. But let's assume it's a Force ghost. You're right. In episode 8, some new kind of parameters we set. We saw Yoda physically interact with his environment. Now, you could say in Empire Strikes Back and in Return of the Jedi that Force Ghost Obi-Wan also physically interacted with his environment. Because remember, after Yoda dies, Obi-Wan comes walking through the Dagobah forest. Hey, Luke. And then he sits down on a log. How does a ghost sit on a log? So even back then, we saw a Force ghost kind of physically interacting with the physical environment a little bit. Still, in Episode 8, Yoda took it to another level, hit him with the stick, called down lightning, blah, 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 blah. So, the theoretical question here is, and it's all hypothetical, but the theoretical and hypothetical question is, could we see Luke help out Rey, even if he's a Force ghost, maybe even pick up a lightsaber and battle Knights of Ren and maybe help her in a fight against Kylo Ren and blah, blah, blah. Well, there is a big problem. Back in Empire Strikes Back, they laid down a canonical rule when Obi-Wan said to Luke, as Luke was getting back into his X-Wing to fly off to fight Vader, and he says, if you confront Vader, I'm paraphrasing, I cannot get involved. Like Force Ghost Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, like he's alluding to some law or some rule about Force Ghosts that we as the audience have not yet been made privy to. But Obi-Wan says to him, I cannot intervene. I can't help you, kid. Like you go and fight Vader, I can't intervene. There's nothing I can do. Whether Obi-Wan literally meant there's nothing I could do, or whether it means he's constrained by a rule something that would stop him from getting involved, because clearly he can interact with the physical environment, and we saw Yoda do that in episode 8. But there is some sort of rule barring or stopping Force ghosts from intervening in the affairs of the living. That would be, so if Luke were a Force ghost in episode 9, and Luke were to physically pick up a lightsaber in episode 9 and start going into combat with fools, it raises a major canon breach. Because that seems to go directly against, now you know I'm a big stickler for canon. It goes directly against what Obi-Wan Kenobi said in previous films. And that's a problem. Also, what fun, here's the question though. While all of us love the idea of Luke picking up a lightsaber and going to school and some fools, if he's a Force ghost, what fun is that? Nothing can hurt him anyway. Why would he need to block laser shots or parry lightsaber strikes against him? He's a ghost. A lightsaber strike ain't gonna hurt him. A blaster going. So what fun would there be? I mean, seriously, even as somebody who's dying to see Luke Skywalker get into a lightsaber battle, if he's a Force ghost, what fun is there in that? He doesn't even have to do anything. He just has to walk up to guys, an entire army, as they're shooting blasters and like Knights of Ren are hurling lightsabers through him, and it doesn't matter. He just walks up, slice, you're dead. Walk up to the next guy, blah, 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 blah. Slice, you're dead. See, what made that Darth Vader scene in Rogue One so badass wasn't that he just walked up to guys and said, dead, and then walked up to the next guy, dead. It was the fact that he was repelling their feeble attempts to take him down. Block, 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 blah, 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 you up against the ceiling, rip out your intestines with my laser, blah, blah, blah. Now that's part of the excitement. That's what made it so badass. Was the fact that Vader could die. He just dropped his hands, go ahead, shoot me in the face. He dies. But what makes it so badass, he's just walking through there, blocking everybody and showing how feeble they're. If Luke's a Force ghost, what's the fun in that? Hey, I'm going to come over there and kill you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't even have to do anything to try to stop you. Walk, walk, walk. Shoot him with a million lasers. Doesn't matter. He's a ghost. Dead. Where's the fun in that? As an audience member, where's the fun in that? So I'm going to guess, because of the canon rule that I already talked about, and because of there's just no fun in seeing a Force ghost Luke doing anything, really, I'm going to say that if Luke is a Force ghost in episode 9, I'm going to guess we don't see him get involved in physical combat for those two reasons. And I think if they try to say he is going to, it presents some real problems. One, you're destroying canon. Two, how do you make it interesting for the audience? So anyway, that's just kind of how I feel about that. All right, guys, that does it for all of the pre-selected questions today and all the main topics today. Thanks a lot to everybody for sending those in. We still got some time left here, so we're going to go over and take some live questions from you guys. If you guys want to send in a live question right now, just jump on Super Chat and send it in. You probably got a couple more minutes left, but if in the next couple of minutes, you might want to then stop because I'm not going to sure to get around to all the questions because we're going to run out of time at some point. But if you do still want to send in a question when we run out of time, don't you worry. I'm going to take any question we don't have time for and use them in a companion video in the next couple of days. So whatever, if you send in a question here on Super Chat, it will get answered either now live or a little bit later in a companion video. Okay. Let's get things rolling with the first question. The first question comes to us from Ben Rayner, who writes, in my opinion, I really like Affleck in Justice League more than Batman vs. Superman. Interesting. I feel completely the opposite. To me, he's a perfect mix of Keaton and Bale in Justice League. For my taste, he was a tiny bit too dark for me in Batman vs. Superman. And hey, I respect that. It's all subjective. If that's the way you prefer it, then that's the way you prefer it. And there's nothing wrong with that. For me, as a fan, the incarnation that Affleck gave us in Batman vs. Superman was the true Batman. Batman is that dark. Batman's darker than that, actually, but this is a dude who, as a child, stood there and witnessed the murder of his parents in front of his own eyes, probably got his own parents' blood on his hands. In that moment, Bruce Wayne died and Batman was born. And he is now a dude, especially ever since the Dark Knight era, not the movie, the graphic novel. Ever since the Dark Knight era, our understanding of Batman is at that moment Bruce Wayne died and Batman was born. And Bruce Wayne became a mask to hide the true individual, which was Batman, and that darkness and that rage and that vengeance and all that kind of stuff. That thirst for justice and blah, 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 and the terror that he's going to rain down on those who would hurt the innocent. And that's why, to me, that Batman versus Superman Batman that Affleck gave us, regardless whether you like that he killed people or not, is regardless. That's a script issue. Forget that. The performance he gave in it, to me, was the most true, real rendition of Batman I think we've ever had on screen. And for me, in Justice League, it lost a lot of it. I don't not like you. It became a little... It completely reversed it. They went from Batman versus Superman, where Batman was the true individual and Bruce Wayne was just a mask. And they flipped it around in Justice League and saying, no, Bruce Wayne's the real guy. The Joe, hey, I'm Bruce Wayne, blah, blah, blah. And Batman was the mask. And that's not who Batman is. Batman's Batman and Bruce Wayne is the mask. Justice League flipped it and made Bruce Wayne the real guy with Batman just being the facade. And that's not who Batman is. But anyway, that's just my opinion. For you, it worked better in Justice League, and that's great. Your opinion is no less valid than mine. If it worked for you, that's awesome. All right. Manuel Fernandez writes, hey, John, would you say the phrase, this movie ruined my childhood, is a valid criticism so long as it's expressed in a mature, civilized manner? There is no mature, civilized way to say this movie ruined my childhood. Look, and I say that as somebody who hated the prequels. I hated the Star Wars prequels, right? So, I hated them. I knew other people who hated them as well, who would say, those Star Wars prequels ruined my childhood. And even I, as somebody who hated prequels, would go, whoa, 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 whoa. They ruined your childhood? Really? Really? Did George Lucas teleport back in time, steal your bike, eat your ice cream, hide your Legos, and break your foot? Did George Lucas do that? No? Well, Nick, please explain to me how making the prequels ruined your childhood. Like, I hate the prequels more than most people. And even I, when friends of mine would say, the prequels ruined my childhood, I go, come on. Say they sucked, say you hated them, say they didn't work for you for whatever reason you want. Saying they ruined your childhood is moronic. That's just stupid. Because if your childhood was so bad that it was simply being held together by the thread of pleasant thoughts of Star Wars, then you already had a pretty bad childhood. All right? The prequels did not ruin your childhood. So that's the thing here, Emmanuel. I don't think there is a mature, civilized manner in saying, yes, those movies ruined my childhood. There's no mature way. It's a stupid statement. And I'm sure half the people who say that are probably just saying that as hyperbole and just saying it as a joke. But there are a bunch of people who mean it. Those movies, they ruined my childhood. Didn't ruin your childhood. Come on. No, it is not a valid critique, and there is no mature way to say it. All right. Next one. Ghostface 1999 writes, with the last Mission Impossible getting a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 86 on Metacritic, I mean. Should it be considered for Oscar season, or is it just not an Oscar movie? I don't think it should be considered for an Oscar, but that's just me because I don't think it's that good. Look, a lot of people misunderstand how Rotten Tomatoes works and what it means. A Rotten Tomatoes meter saying a 97%, that's not a measure of the quality of the film. The 97 simply states that out of 100 critics, out of 100% of the critics, 97% of the critics like it. It doesn't necessarily mean they love it. It doesn't necessarily mean they think it's a top 2 film of the year. It doesn't necessarily mean any of that. It just means that out of 100% of the critics out there, 97% at least like the movie. I am one of those 97%. I give Mission Impossible Fallout a big thumbs up. I think it's a very good movie. I don't think it's in my top 5 of the year right now, though, to be honest with you. I like it very much. If you like it, then you and I are on the same side. It's a very good movie. I was just trying to talk Anne yesterday into going to watch it with me again. She still hasn't seen it. She's not interested in it. I'm just trying to talk because I want to go see it again. I want to bring her with me. Anyway, So I like Mission Impossible Fallout. Very good movie. Very fun movie. But, so I'm one of the 97%. But that doesn't mean I think it's an Oscar contender. I just don't think it's that good. I mean, it's good. It's real good. But I just don't think it's that good. You know? And I'm sure there's a lot of those critics who are part of the 97% that will all say, oh yeah, it's good and you should see it. But I'm not saying it's an Oscar movie. So, no, it does not necessarily mean... Just because, again, I mean, it could have 100%, which is rare. I mean, if you can get everybody with everybody having such diverse opinions and you get everybody to agree that they like it, that's saying something. But look, even if it was a 100% movie, that doesn't mean it's necessarily an Oscar movie. It doesn't necessarily mean it's good enough to be that. You can get a movie that's an 85 on Rotten Tomatoes and be a sheer, pure-cut winner of the Academy Award. I mean, it really all depends. So I still find a lot of people have a fundamental misunderstanding about how Rotten Tomatoes works. If a movie gets a 70, that doesn't mean it's a 7 out of 10 movie. That's not what it's saying. It just means 7 out of 10 critics at least said it's good. That's all it means. And that's why I think it's like such a pure, beautiful rating system because of that. But no, just because on Metacritic it does an 86, just because on Rotten Tomatoes it gives a 97, that doesn't really mean anything per se. It just means... What that 97% means to me as a film audience member is, oh, there's a high probability that I'll probably like this movie since so many other people like it. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to think it's the best film of the year or anything like that, but there's at least a high probability that I'll enjoy it. That's all it means. So, yeah, anyway, so no, I don't think it's an Oscar consideration kind of movie. That's just my opinion, though. Some of you may disagree, which is totally fine. That's the subjectivity of film. KW Garrett 83 writes, if I offered you a free ham sandwich or total control of MoviePass, which would you take? Helios Matheson shares are at 14 cents, and my MoviePass app hasn't worked in a week. Total control, I take the ham sandwich. Honestly, I would take the ham sandwich because if I had total control of MoviePass, I'm going to eventually owe money. Yeah, you know what? Just out of curiosity, I'm going to look it up again. What is by Helios and Matheson? That's the company that owns MoviePass. What is the Helios and Matheson stock price at right now? And right now it's at 14 cents. So it's dropped today. It was 15 cents earlier. It's dropped again down to 14 cents. I'm going to guess it's going to close today at 9 cents. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess today it's going to close at 9 cents. Anyway, all right, so I'll take the ham sandwich, KW Garrett. Taki75 writes, thoughts on Fight Club? I found it stupid and overrated. Hey, you know what? A lot of films that are considered big and classic, you're going to look at and maybe think were overrated and didn't live up to the hype. For me, that movie is Blade Runner. I know everybody's yelling at me. I get it, but I just got to be honest with you. Blade Runner never worked for me, which is fine. I recognize it's an all-time classic that people love. Awesome. But whatever. And you know, I do think Fight Club's awesome. I think Fight Club's incredible. I do. But just because I think it's incredible and other people thinks it's incredible doesn't mean you need to find it incredible. If you watch it and it didn't work for you, then it didn't work for you. And by the way, you're not alone. I know a few other people that aren't so thrilled with Fight Club. For me, completely worked. But, I mean, not for everybody. So, hey, that's film, man. That's film. Caleb Bradford writes, can you talk about Christopher Robin? If not, when does the embargo lift? I cannot talk about Christopher Robin. The embargo doesn't lift until 7 p.m. tonight, which is just stupid. I have no idea what Disney was thinking. Because when you don't let a review embargo lift until the movie actually is opening in theaters, because Christopher Robin, the official opening date is tomorrow, but that means it's actually opening in theaters tonight. Tonight is when Christopher Robin opens, around 7 o'clock, or for most theaters, and they're not lifting the review embargo until the movie opens? That is a huge red flag screaming, we don't believe in our own movie. We think our own movie sucks. That's a giant flag. And it's confusing to me that Disney would do that. Maybe I just gave away a little bit about Christopher Robin. Look, I'll say this. I'm not going to review it till later tonight. I like Christopher Robin. That's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to break embargo or anything like. But I am absolutely dumbfounded and confused by Disney not lifting this review embargo till 7 o'clock tonight. Because they just basically screamed, our movie sucks. We don't believe in it at all. We think the reviews are going to be bad. We think people are going to hate it. So we're going to hold the review embargo until the movie opens. That's what they just said. I have no idea why they did this. I really don't. It's completely befuddling to me. Luna Comics writes, why couldn't Superman's parents just leave Krypton? I know Jor-El said your mother and I were products of the failures of our world like Zod was, but doesn't seem like a valid argument if Supergirl left Krypton. Well, I think the way the movie sets it up, and look, you'd have to talk to the filmmakers for more. The way the movie sets it up was there just wasn't time. Like people knew, very few people knew the destruction of Krypton was actually coming. But then it all of a sudden came on pretty quickly. Jor-El had a one-pod ship that he and his wife could not fit in. If they could have, I'm sure Jor-El would have put his wife in that pod as well and sent him off. So, yeah, that's kind of how I see it. And I really don't need any more explanation beyond that. But I'm sure there's probably some other lore material that goes more into it. But just off the top of my head, as a fan of the film, I just thought it was a rush job. He had one little capsule that he could just put his baby in and send his baby off. And that's what they did. That's just the way I saw it at any rate. Like I said, Luna, there is probably other lore material out there that might go into that question even more. But as an audience member sitting down watching Man of Steel, that's just how it hit me. Okay, this cataclysm is now coming on quickly. He's got this one pod. It can only fit his baby, and so they saved their child. That's all the explanation I really needed. So that's how I saw it. Again, there might be other lore out there in the comics, in books, in cartoons, whatever, that might go into it a little more deeply that I'm just not aware of off the top of my head. But that's how I saw it as an audience member at any rate. AFK 2010 writes, do you know Ivo Caprino, Italian film producer that moved to Norway and his stop motion movies became national... something's caught my throat. There we go. And his stop-motion movies became national treasure. Most known for Flak-Yipa Grand Prix. Amazing guy. No, I mean, just because I have Italian heritage does not mean I know every Italian out there. So no, I must admit, I've never heard of Ivo Caprino. Sounds like a wonderful dude. If he's Italian, I'm sure that he is. But honestly, I've never heard of the dude. So no, I have no knowledge of who that person is. James Bonner writes, Shazam is almost like counter-programming to Avengers 4 in its lighter tone, so no need to move. I don't know, big major comic book movie, even though it is lighter tone, I got to disagree with you, James. I think you're wrong on this one. It is not counter-programming. Big Hollywood comic book movie adaptation. Even if within that you do things very differently, it is far too similar to be considered counter-programming. You know what counter-programming was? It was the Phantom Menace coming out, and the comedy, I believe the one with Amy Poehler, and, I forget the other girl in it, but the movie Sisters. That stupid romp comedy with these two female leads and blah, blah, blah. That was counter-programming to Star Wars The Force Awakens. That was counter-programming. A big studio Hollywood comic book movie adaptation is not counter-programming to another big Hollywood studio movie comic book adaptation. It's just far too similar. Even if by nature the movies are presented very differently, they are just on the surface the same package to a lot of people. So I don't think you can consider it counter-programming at all. I just think that it's far enough away. Even if Avengers 4 moves in to April, I still think it's far enough away from Shazam that Shazam doesn't have to worry about it. It's going to have 3 weeks in theaters before Avengers opens. That's plenty of time. Plenty of time. It's going to already have made the vast majority of the money it was going to make by the time Avengers hits theaters, so I think it's going to be perfectly fine. All right. John K. writes, Disney overly cautious were burned with Wrinkle in Time. I have no idea what you mean, John. They were burned with Wrinkle in Time by being cautious? I honestly, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Or that Wrinkle in Time, honestly, no idea what you're talking about. Sorry about it. I mean, Wrinkle in Time was a bad movie. I mean, there's just no way around it. Wrinkle in Time was a bad movie. That's what killed it. But other than that, John, I don't know what else. I don't know what it is we're talking about at that point. Sorry about that, dude. Cobra writes, is Marlon Brando in Superman in 1978 like having Daniel Day-Lewis in a comic book movie today? It feels like it. I think so. I mean, look, I was 5 years old at the time, so I mean, I don't really know. But it seems, looking back on Hollywood history, yeah, that seems like a good comparison. That feels like a good comparison to me. At that time, them getting a Marlon Brando in a comic book movie, and they had Gene Hackman in their comic book movie, it was a coup in many ways. Getting these actors to appear in a comic book film? Really? And so yeah, I think it's a good comparison. I think equating that to Daniel Day-Lewis popping up in a comic book movie today, I think that's equivalent. I think that's a good example. Michael Myers writes, went to Italy last month and recaptured the exact shot from the final scene in Gladiator in the Elysian Fields. They're in Pisa, in Italy, and completely empty. You need to take Anne there, John. You know what the funny thing is? I am Italian. My real name, as many of you know, is Giovanni. My dad's name is Pasquale. My grandfather is Giovanni. My uncle is Segarlo Romolo Vincenzo. I'm Italian. I've never been to Italy. Anne is very much not Italian. She's been to Italy a few times, and I've never been. So it's not I need to take Anne there, it's Anne needs to take me. That's the real message here. But that sounds awesome. I love Gladiator. To stand anywhere where they shot. I get a real kick out of being in the physical place where some key moment of a movie I love was shot. I don't know, I just get this huge rush being that. So that sounds like would have been an awesome experience, Michael. Thanks for sharing that. David Hendry writes, love the show, man. Keep on keeping on. Thank you so much, David. I appreciate that, man. D. Wathers writes, hey, John, you should ask your subscribers to like/comment on your videos more often. I'm seeing a lot of YouTubers complaining about the YouTube algorithm not sending notifications because of low activity. My videos get a lot of activity. My videos actually get a lot of activity. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should ask people to vote, to thumb up more and comment more. I mean, I always ask everybody, hey guys, jump to the comments, leave your thoughts. And we have a very active comment section on my videos. You guys are great in leaving your comments. It's great. But hey, you're not wrong. The YouTube algorithm is weird. You can subscribe to a channel and never get notifications of new videos coming from it and all that kind of stuff. You can even click the bell button, the notification button, and you still might not get all the notifications. It's really weird the way it works. So maybe I should ask everybody. So hey, everybody, all you watching right now, click the thumbs up button, leave a comment. So yeah, maybe I should do more of that. You're probably right, D. I should probably engage that more. Jordan's channel writes, did you hear that The Batman will be based on Batman Year One? If so, have you heard that's true? And what do you think? Sounds like a reboot to me. I mean, I think it was always kind of understood it's going to be a reboot. Or be outside of the DCU, despite what they've said before. I understand, I know, but John, they said before it'll be in the DCU. I get that they've said that. I don't necessarily think it's true. Might be true. Might be totally true, might not be. I have heard the rumor for a long time that it was going to be a Year One adaptation. Don't forget, I forget which director it was. It was a real prominent director. Was working for a long time on a Batman Year One movie, and then eventually got scrapped. Although I can't remember which director it was now. It was a prominent director at any point. I've heard the rumor, but I honestly have seen nothing to suggest that rumor is true. That doesn't mean it's not true. It could be true. But as of right now, you have to firmly put that under the rumor category. I've seen nothing from anybody in any official capacity giving any sort of confirmation that it's a Year One adaptation. Batman Year One is a story, by the way. I've seen nobody give any sort of actual confirmation or actual concrete evidence that this new Batman incarnation will be Year One. I haven't seen anything like that. Let's see. Cameron Peterson writes, over under 63%. Harrelson is Carnage / Cletus Cassidy. I'm going to, 63. That's a big number. Because here's the thing. I do think Harrelson is playing Cletus Cassidy. I do. I think he is. I think that's why they're keeping the name of his character so secret right now. But do I believe 63? Because there's a lot of room in between 50% and 63, right? So I'm above 50% that he's Cletus. I do believe he is. But more than 63? I'm going to take the under. I'll take the under on 63. Even though I think he is Cletus Cassidy, I will take the under on 60. It's just a little bit too big of a number for me, so I'm going to take the under on 63. All right, Curtis Lopez writes, why does Disney always do Pooh wrong? First, they released the animated movie same day as Harry Potter Deathly Hallows 2. Now won't lift the embargo till 7 p.m. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. Honestly, I don't think releasing a child's animated film against Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows 2 was necessarily all that stupid. That is a little bit of counter-programming to me. I didn't think it was all that dumb. And let's face it, the Winnie the Pooh animated movie was never going to be a big blockbuster hit anyway. So I honestly don't, I don't count that one against them so much. But this whole review embargo thing to me is confusing. I'm really honestly confused by it. I do not know why they've done it this way. I think it was a bad move. I really do. I think it was a very bad move on their part. Curtis follows up with, was watching Infinity War again, and I realized how much I wish Star-Lord would tell Stark, "You're genius teen heartthrob Tony Stark. Man, you're old." That really would have been funny. A little bit inside base, but honestly, that would have been a funny line. I'm perfectly fine that they didn't do it because I don't think as a young teenager, Tony Stark was I don't know that he was a big heartthrob. I don't think he became more magazine covers till a little bit later, like college age and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that, but it would have been funny. Curtis also follows up with, I work in Burbank, so I find myself going to the AMC Burbank 16 a lot. Do you know anything about this new Prime Theater they have? Yeah, the new AMC Prime Theater, I think is very similar to the Dolby Cinema at Prime. It's got the leather recliners. It's got all that stuff. I think the only difference is they don't have the Dolby dual laser projection system in it. So I think it's reseated, the big motorized plush leather recliners and all that kind of stuff, just without the Dolby dual laser projection system and probably without the Dolby Atmos sound system. I have not been in that new, what they're strictly calling Prime Theater. I haven't been in that Prime Theater yet. So I can't say firsthand. That's just what my impressions are at this point. Okay. Wow, there are a bunch more questions. Okay, guys, we're out of time here, so I'm going to take one more question. And then, don't worry, guys, the rest of the questions that you sent in, do not worry. I will take them, and I will answer them on the companion videos. So, but right now, the last question of the day comes to us from Bennett Tompkins, who writes, I was watching Infinity War, and Groot makes the handle for Stormbreaker with his arm. So because he is part of the hammer, does that make him worthy? I don't necessarily think it does. And remember, Stormbreaker is not Mjolnir. Stormbreaker and Mjolnir are two different things. But I don't know that he lifted it. I can't remember if he actually lifted it or if he just grabbed it and then cut off his own arm. But look, here's the thing. The moment Groot cut off his arm, he's no longer part of the hammer. Now it's just a piece of wood. A very special piece of wood, but that's the way I kind of see it. But just remember, Stormbreaker is not Mjolnir. Two different things. So I don't know if the whole worthy thing comes into play at that point or not, or if it's just a matter of the weapon is so powerful, mere mortals can't wield it. So I don't know what rules come into play with it on that level. But I would say that the moment Groot cut off his arm, he was no longer part of Stormbreaker. That's the way I saw it. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be dead wrong about that, but that's just kind of the way my first impression of it was at any rate. Okay, guys, that will do it. That's all the time. We've already gone over an hour today, so we've already got a little bit overtime. For those of you who still, like for everybody from Terry all the way on down, don't worry. I'm going to get to your questions in a companion video over the next day and two. They will be answered on one of the videos for sure. But that will do it for me for now, guys. Thank you so much for being here today and participating in the show. Don't forget, guys, the question of the day. Do you believe Shazam needs to move further away from Avengers? Personally, I don't think so, but maybe you do. Jump down, look at the bottom of the description of this video, find the link to the poll, click on it, and go and register your vote. Let your voice be heard, and I'll let you guys know the results of that poll on tomorrow's John Campea show. All right, guys, don't forget, a little bit later today, we've got open mic. That's going to be at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, sometime later tonight, I'll have my Winnie the Pooh review. I mean, or Christopher Robin, I should say, Christopher Robin review. You know, once the embargo finally lifts to 7 p.m., still no idea why they put it at 7 p.m. But anyway, lots of stuff coming up today. Listen, guys, do me a favor. If you enjoy watching my programming, go over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. Get all the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how you being a Patreon supporter keeps this show on the air, and also the benefits there are of being a Patreon supporter. And then maybe you'll decide to become a Patreon supporter too. And if so, thank you so much for that. I deeply appreciate it. Also, guys, don't forget, click on that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. And as D. Wathers is saying, guys, stop what you're doing right now. Click the thumbs up button. Give this video a thumbs up. Jump down. Make a comment in the video as well. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea. And until the next video, bye-bye.